During the dark early years of World War II, when Nazi bombers rained destruction upon Europe and Allied airmen fell from the skies, a new weapon of hope was quietly being forged in the factories of North American Aviation. It would come to be known as the P-51 Mustang, a machine that combined speed, grace, and deadly precision, a true iron angel of the skies. In 1940, the British Royal Air Force was desperate. Their Spitfires and Hurricanes could defend the island, but they lacked range. The German Luftwaffe was pushing deep into Europe, and Britain needed an escort fighter that could fly hundreds of miles and still fight. They turned to America, where the engineers of North American Aviation promised to build something revolutionary and fast. The first P-51 prototype took flight on October 26, 1940. It wasn't perfect, but it was fast, incredibly fast. Yet, it wasn't until the British installed the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine that the Mustang truly came alive. Suddenly, this aircraft could fly higher, faster, and farther than almost anything in the sky. It could escort bombers deep into enemy territory and bring pilots home alive. Pilots described the feeling of flying the Mustang as riding a lightning bolt. It climbed like a rocket, dived like a hawk, and danced through the clouds with uncanny agility. But beneath its beauty was lethal purpose. 650 caliber Browning machine guns turned it into a storm of fire and thunder. German pilots began to fear the sight of its distinctive silhouette, sleek wings, long nose, and the unmistakable roar of the Merlin engine. By 1943, the tide of the air war began to shift. Squadrons of Mustangs soared across the skies of Europe, escorting massive B-17, flying fortresses on their deadly missions into the heart of Nazi Germany. For the first time, bombers could reach Berlin and return alive. The Luftwaffe's dominance began to crumble. The P-51 wasn't just a machine, it became a symbol of freedom and courage. American pilots who once faced impossible odds now felt invincible with the Iron Angel at their side. As one pilot said, when you flew a Mustang, you felt like you had wings of steel and the soul of an eagle. But behind every shining aircraft was a story of sacrifice. Thousands of engineers worked day and night, often under the shadow of war, to perfect its design. Many pilots never made it home. Their Mustangs crashed in foreign fields, silent witnesses to their bravery. Yet their legacy lived on, every rivet, every wing, every engine roar carrying the dream of victory through the clouds. The Iron Angel had taken flight, and the world of aerial warfare would never be the same again. By 1943, Europe had become a burning fortress. Nazi Germany ruled the skies with its feared Messerschmitt Bf. 109 Seconds and Focke-Wulf 190 Seconds. The Allies were bleeding thousands of bomber crews, lost in the fiery infernos of daylight raids. The P-47 Thunderbolt was strong but heavy, and the Spitfire couldn't reach deep enough. The war needed a miracle, and the P-51 Mustang became that miracle. When the first squadrons of Mustangs arrived in England, few understood how much they would change the air war. Their long, slender wings glinted like silver swords as they climbed into the cold European sky. With the Merlin engine roaring, the Mustang could escort bombers all the way to Berlin and back. No Allied fighter had ever done that before. German pilots soon learned to fear the sight. They called it Die lange Schunz, the long tail. It was fast, it was deadly, and it hunted them with precision. Luftwaffe veterans who once mocked American planes now whispered about the new devil in the sky. The P-51 was not just fast, it was intelligent. Its fuel-efficient engine, combined with auxiliary drop tanks, allowed missions that lasted over 6 hours. Pilots spent long hours alone, high above enemy territory, scanning the skies for black dots, signs of the Luftwaffe closing in. Those were moments of silence, broken only by the hum of the Merlin and the beating heart of a man who knew he might never return. Then came the call, bandits. 11 o'clock high. Within seconds, the calm of the sky erupted into chaos. Mustangs dived like predators, their 650 caliber guns spitting fire. Traces cut through the clouds as German fighters spiraled down in smoke. The once invincible Luftwaffe began to falter. Their fuel was running low, their aces were dying, and the Iron Angels ruled the air. For bomber crews, the Mustang meant life. They watched from their glass cockpits as silver Mustangs danced above and around them, guardians in the sky. Many bomber gunners recalled seeing a Mustang chase off an entire group of enemy fighters alone. The bond between bomber men and Mustang pilots became sacred. They called them our angels. But war is never without cost. Pilots fought exhaustion, freezing cold, and the constant threat of death. Many never made it back to base. The European countryside was dotted with the wrecks of Mustangs, twisted metal buried in foreign soil. Each one told a silent story of courage and sacrifice. Still, for every Mustang lost, more took to the air. American factories worked day and night to send reinforcements. By 1944, the skies over Europe belonged to the Allies. The Mustang wasn't just a fighter anymore, it was a symbol of dominance. A turning point in the air war that would lead to the downfall of the Third Reich. The Iron Angel had proven itself, but the battle was far from over. Ahead lay the greatest challenge yet, D-Day, and the invasion of Fortress Europe. June 6, 1940 for D-Day. The day the fate of the free world turned upon the wings of courage. The beaches of Normandy were about to ignite, and above them, thousands of aircraft filled the morning sky. Among them, the P-51 Mustang, the Iron Angel, led the charge through flak, fire, and fury. From dawn till dusk, Mustangs roared across the French coastline, escorting waves of bombers and strafing German positions. Their mission was simple, yet vital. Clear the skies and protect the soldiers. Storming the beaches below, every pilot knew the stakes. If the Luftwaffe broke through, the invasion could fail before it began. The morning was chaos. The sky thundered with the roar of engines and the boom of anti-aircraft guns. Black smoke blossomed across the horizon like dark flowers of death. Yet through that storm, the Mustangs flew fast, fearless, and unbroken. Their silver bodies shimmered against the rising sun, like blades of light cutting through the darkness of war. In one mission, a squadron of P-51s engaged nearly twice their number of German fighters. Outnumbered but unshaken, they fought with precision and fury. Within minutes, the sky was filled with trails of smoke as enemy planes fell one after another. "We had the angels on our side today," one bomber pilot radioed after surviving the onslaught. He was right. Those angels had names, faces, and hearts made of steel. The Mustang's versatility was unmatched. It wasn't just an escort. It was a hunter, a protector, and a symbol. It could dive bomb trains, destroy tanks, and chase enemy fighters to the ground. Its long range meant it could sweep across France and still return safely to England, a feat no other Allied plane could achieve so effectively. But with glory came sacrifice. The losses on D-Day were heavy, both on land and in the air. Many pilots never returned. Some were shot down over the beaches they had sworn to protect. Yet their comrades carried on, knowing every mission brought the Allies closer to victory. The air over Normandy belonged to the Iron Angels, and with them came hope. By evening, the invasion was secure. The Allies had landed. The beaches were taken at a terrible cost. But the skies, those precious skies, had been won by the Mustangs. Pilots returned to their bases exhausted, their faces streaked with oil and sweat. Many walked silently to the edge of the airfield, watching the horizon glow with the fires of battle. They knew history had changed that day, and they had been its wings. As night fell over Normandy, the engines quieted and the Iron Angels rested. But soon they would rise again, this time to strike at the heart of Nazi Germany itself. After Normandy, the sky became the Allies' battlefield and the P-51 Mustang it soared. By late 1944, the war had reached Germany's doorstep. Hitler's empire was burning, but the Luftwaffe still fought like a cornered wolf. Every mission into the heart of Germany was a dance with death, and the Iron Angels were always leading. From bases in England and France, waves of Mustangs escorted B-17 and B-24 bombers into the deepest parts of Nazi territory: Berlin, Hamburg, Munich. The missions could last up to 8 hours. Through freezing air, flak bursts, and clouds blackened with smoke, the German anti-aircraft guns, known as Flak 88 Seconds, were relentless. Explosions lit up the sky like Hell's Own fireworks. The Mustangs flew ahead and above, weaving through the chaos, to hunt enemy fighters before they could strike the bombers. They fought Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs in furious dogfights that twisted through the clouds like steel serpents. The sky would turn into a storm of fire and metal. Pilots had seconds to live or die. Major George Preddy, One of America's top Mustang aces once said, "You don't think up there, you just react. The Mustang becomes part of you." His words captured the truth of aerial combat. Every movement, every pull of the trigger was instinct, forged by training and terror. Preddy shot down over 25 enemy aircraft before being tragically killed by friendly fire. His death, like many others, showed how thin the line between victory and tragedy truly was. But victory was near. The Mustangs didn't just win dogfights, they destroyed Germany's ability to fight. They targeted fuel depots, trains, convoys, and airfields. The Luftwaffe's fuel reserves were drying up. Its best pilots were gone, replaced by terrified cadets who had only a few hours of training. The Iron Angels hunted them mercilessly. By late 1944, American bombers were reaching Berlin with little opposition. The once invincible Luftwaffe was now a shadow of its former self. German civilians looked to the skies and saw silver wings crossing over their cities. Unstoppable, unending. The sound of the Mustang's Merlin engine became the sound of approaching defeat. For the pilots, every mission carried ghosts. They saw friends fall, heard last words crackle over the radio, and returned to empty bunks. Yet, they flew again the next day. The war was not yet over, and every flight brought them closer to ending it. The Mustang became more than a machine of war. It became a legend. Its beauty masked its power. Its grace hid its fury. It was the angel and the avenger, the protector and the punisher. It symbolized what men could build when they refused to surrender. By the winter of 1944, the Iron Angels ruled the skies, and soon they would watch from above as the world's greatest evil began to crumble under their wings. By the spring of 1945, the thunder of war began to fade. The German cities lay in ruins, and Hitler's Luftwaffe, once feared across the world, was gone. The skies over Europe were silent again, but the echo of the P-51 Mustang still lingered, like the fading heartbeat of victory. For many pilots, the end of the war brought a strange emptiness. They had lived for years in the cockpit. Their Mustang was more than a machine. It was a home, a friend, and a guardian. They called it the Iron Angel because it carried them through hell and brought them back alive. Now, as peace returned, those angels began to rest. In April 1945, when Allied forces finally crossed into Berlin, the Mustangs flew overhead not in battle, but in triumph. They had done what no other fighter could. They had turned the tide of war in the air. The same aircraft that once chased enemy fighters now escorted paratroopers with supplies, helped prisoners of war return home, and flew over liberated cities as a symbol of freedom. American and British commanders credited the Mustang as one of the key weapons that won the air war. Its combination of speed, range, and firepower made it unstoppable. General Dwight D. Eisenhower himself once said that the Mustang, along with the Jeep and the C-47, was among the three machines that truly won World War II. But the story of the Iron Angel did not end with victory. In the years that followed, Mustangs continued to serve across the world, from the Korean War to air shows that celebrated peace. Pilots who once flew them into battle now flew them for memory, for the brothers they lost and the freedom they fought for. In hangars and museums, the silver wings of the Mustang still gleam, a silent reminder of sacrifice. When you stand beside one, you can almost hear the whisper of the Merlin engine, the distant roar of battle, and the quiet prayer of every pilot who once touched the sky. The Mustang represents more than war. It represents the courage of men who refuse to give up. It reminds us that freedom has a cost, that innovation can change the fate of nations, and that even in the darkest times, angels can rise from steel and fire. Today, when a restored P-51 flies through the air, veterans still look up with tears in their eyes. They see not just a plane, but a piece of their soul, the Iron Angel that carried them through the storm. It is said that machines have no heart, no soul, but those who flew the Mustang would disagree, because for them, the P-51 was alive and it will live forever in the skies of history.